world to find out who the current top 10 most powerful are. Our list takes into account different factors, including each nation's potential war-making capability across land, sea and air, as well as its resources and finances. This is the 10 most powerful militaries in the world. Number 10. Italy. The Italian military has become more robust in recent decades. This is in part due to the country's possession of 2 active aircraft carriers, which places Italy 4th in the world in terms of aircraft carrier rankings and allows them to operate in any part of the world. Elsewhere in the sea, Italy has 6 submarines, 13 frigates, 5 corvettes and 4 destroyers, making it the 9th largest navy in the world. They possess the Bergamini-class FREMM multi-purpose frigate, built for anti-submarine and anti-aircraft defense. Only 3 other countries possess these types of warcraft. Since the Second World War, the Italian armed forces have become more and more engaged in international United Nations peace support operations in many countries around the world, including Lebanon, Iraq and Afghanistan. Number 9. Germany. The modern German armed forces, or Bundeswehr, were created just 10 years after the end of World War II. The Bundeswehr eventually grew to be a very well-equipped army, with a whole host of deadly weapons in its possession, including the Eurofighter Typhoon, which has excellent maneuverability, powerful engines, infrared search, and Sidewinder missiles. Germany's navy is quite small by comparison, with no aircraft carriers and just 5 submarines. However, in March 2015, the Merkel government announced a 6.2% increase in the defense budget for the German military over the next 5 years, which provides an additional $8.5 billion to its current budget of $33 billion by 2019. Number 8. Turkey. Turkey's large manpower reserve, with 410,500 active troops and 185,630 reserve troops, gives it a powerful advantage on land. It also lays claim to an impressively large tank fleet, with 3,778, as well as numerous aircraft and attack helicopters. Turkey's military also uses cutting-edge equipment, including some brought in from the US, like the MGM-140 Army Tactical Missile System, which is capable of hitting targets 160 kilometers away. The Turkish army has 100 of them. The Turks also operate 3 US-made MQ-1 Predator drones, placing them just behind the US with the second highest number of these drones. When equipped with Hellfire missiles, MQ-1 Predators can pick out targets on the ground from 400 kilometers away. Number 7. Japan. In absolute terms, the Japanese military is actually relatively small, with just 250,000 frontline personnel and 57,900 active reserve personnel. But despite this, the country is still extremely well equipped. It currently has 1,595 aircraft, making it the world's 5th largest air force. Included in this is the Type 3 Chu-Sam surface-to-air missile, which has a range of around 50 kilometers and an ability to engage with targets flying at an altitude of over 10 kilometers. Alongside this, Japan has the 4th largest submarine fleet in this list and 3 aircraft carriers, although these vessels are only equipped with helicopter fleets. In January 2016, Japan launched its first military satellite into space. It marked one of 3 planned satellites that will quadruple broadband capacity, unify an overburdened communications network, and allow communications across a wider range of territory. Later in 2016, Japan deployed their troops for the first time since World War II to South Sudan, as part of UN peacekeeping missions. Number 6. The United Kingdom. Despite the fact that the UK is planning to reduce the size of its armed forces by 20% from 102,000 to 82,000 between 2010 and 2018, it is still very capable of projecting its power around the world. According to Professor Malcolm Chalmers, Director of UK Defence Policy Studies at the renowned Royal United Services Institute, Britain could still hold an advantage over emerging powers like China due to its superior training and equipment. This includes Britain's Special Forces Unit, the SAS, which former US military leader General David Petraeus claims is the best special forces unit in the world, and one that many other countries use as a template for their own. In terms of cyber warfare, Britain has GCHQ, an intelligence and security organisation famed for its role in the breaking of German Enigma codes during World War II. In the sea, the Royal Navy is planning to put the HMS Queen Elizabeth through trials in the summer of 2017, with the aim of putting it into service in 2020. This aircraft carrier can carry 40 F-35B Joint Strike Fighters across the globe. Number 5. France. In terms of ground force troops, the UK and French militaries look quite similar at first, with France leading by a difference of 50,000 because it has 205,000 active frontline personnel. But the real disparity is in fixed-wing aircraft and fleet strength. In total, France has 1,282 aircraft to the UK's 879. This includes 140 of the multi-role fighter aircraft, the Dassault Rafale, capable of carrying ASMPA medium-range nuclear cruise missiles. As mentioned previously, the UK does not yet have an active aircraft carrier, whereas France has the Charles de Gaulle, which is the only nuclear-powered carrier outside the United States Navy. In 2015, Charles de Gaulle was deployed twice to fight the Islamic State. France is also looking to expand its cyber warfare capabilities. In January 2017, Defense Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian said that the French military would host 2,600 digital soldiers by 2019, with the support of an additional 600 cyber experts. Number 4. India. In 2014, Britain's Ministry of Defence projected a global scenario, which stated that by 2045, India could become a global military power with the third largest defence expenditure, pegged at $654 billion. As of 2015, India is the world's largest importer of military goods. It has ballistic missiles with a range capable of hitting all of Pakistan and most of China, and it has around 90 to 110 nuclear warheads. It also has 2 aircraft carriers, while Russia and China only have 1 each. In August 2016, India commissioned its first nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine, the INS Arihant, which has 12 K-15 missiles with a range of 750 kilometers. Now armed with a nuclear triad, India's armed forces are steadily undergoing modernization, investing in areas such as futuristic soldier systems and missile defense systems. Number 3. China. In the past few decades, the Chinese military has grown rapidly in terms of size and capability. With a population of 1.3 billion to draw from, China has over 2.3 million active personnel, with an additional 1.1 million as reserves and military police. So in terms of manpower, China has the biggest military in the world, but it is plagued by mobility problems. It still largely relies on trains for transportation across the mainland, as it has very few transport helicopters. As it stands in 2017, China has had unprecedented success with cyber warfare. In 2015, the US Office of Personnel Management announced that it had been the target of a data breach by the Chinese government, who had targeted the records of as many as 21.5 million people. China also has innovating anti-space capabilities, although the US trumps it in terms of military action involving lethal force. Number 2. Russia. When Vladimir Putin came to power in 2000, the Russian army underwent a dramatic facelift. 17 years on, it's bigger, stronger, and better equipped than at any time since the end of the Cold War. It has the world's largest tank fleet, with a staggering 15,400 tanks, and the world's second largest aircraft fleet, with 3,547 aircraft. The most popular of these is the USSR-made Sukhoi Su-27, which can carry up to 8 air-to-air missiles. The world got a glimpse of Putin's new army in 2014, when little green men with gleaming new uniforms and weapons annexed Crimea in a relatively bloodless but extremely efficient operation, which lasted just 24 days. However, Russia still lags far behind the United States in total power in terms of technology, with much of its vast arsenal still made up of aging Soviet-designed equipment. Number 1. United States. As of 2017, the land of the free has one of the largest militaries in the world, with 1,400,000 active personnel and 1,100,000 reserve personnel. Alongside its active ground force army, it's the world leader in aircraft production, with a total fleet of 19 aircraft carriers. That's more than every other country on this list combined, which hold around 80 fighter jets each. But how can the US afford this? Well, it spends a whopping $600 billion annually to fund its military forces and overseas contingency operations. The US also implements cutting-edge technology like the Navy's new railgun, which can fire a projectile at around Mach 6 and has the potential to hit a target over 160 kilometers away. If that isn't threatening enough though, the US has 662 overseas bases in 38 foreign countries. So there you have 10 of the most powerful militaries in the world. Were there any you were surprised by? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to check out 10 countries you didn't know were at war, playing on screen now.